Today's episode is the first in a 5-part series on how to beat writer's block. Make sure you subscribe right now to get all 5 videos. I have gone through periods of my life where I'm super blocked, sometimes for a few days, sometimes for a few weeks or months. And it's awful. I hate it. It makes me feel like I'm not a real writer, and then I start on the downward spiral of self-loathing, and as anyone knows, once you go down that spiral, you definitely aren't writing anything. It's like self-fulfilling prophecy. A lot of authors and writers I respect will tell you that the only way through writer's block is to write. I think that's great advice. There are times in my life where I sit down to write and I stare at the empty screen and I feel like the well is empty. In this 5-part series, I'm going to be sharing with you some tips and ideas, things that have helped me get out of my bad periods of writer's block. Yes, ultimately the only way to get out of writer's block is to write, but sometimes on the way back to the place where you're writing, it's good to try some new things. And that brings us to the topic of today's video. Step number 5, don't write. Bree, you say that defeats the whole purpose of this video. We're trying to write again, not write. But I found that sometimes the best thing I can do for my writing is to stop writing. That does not mean, however, to stop creating. This is a 2-part tip. Don't write, but keep creating. I have found that if I challenge myself to create, but I do it in a way that does not involve me sitting at a laptop and putting words on the page, it unlocks something in my brain. And then sure enough, the words do come spilling out. That can take a lot of different shapes. For me, it's usually an art class. There he is, my little dead bird, taxidermied myself. Okay. That's right, I taxidermied a bird. Within a month after taking my taxidermy class, I wrote a story about a girl taking a taxidermy class, and it got published in a great little magazine. It's probably one of the stories I'm proudest of. I would never have written that story if I hadn't taken a taxidermy class. Yes, it's weird. Also, taxidermy appears in my debut novel, Heart of Thorns, coming out next summer. Actually, birds became a pretty big part of the novel, and I'm not sure that would have happened if I hadn't spent 3 days cutting one open. After the class, my partner came in one night to me stroking the bird and talking to it. Yeah, he thought it was pretty weird. Maybe you're like, gross, Bree, that's a dead bird. I have no desire to ever touch a dead bird with the knife. Collage. What I love about collage is you're actually working with your hands, but the verbal part of your brain is sort of on a dimmer. So you get to pick images that mean something to you or strike you or resonate, and you don't have to know why. Maybe you're just called to an image because it's beautiful, or maybe it scares you a little bit. Whatever it is, there's no right or wrong answer. You just grab it and you put it together with other images to make a collage. So I took taxidermy, I took collage. I thought, what's next? Black and white photography. In this black and white photography class I took, they loaned us a camera for the 8 weeks of the class. So I got to go around everywhere holding this camera and taking pictures that I never would have taken with just my iPhone. Picture of me taking a picture. You get to be in the dark room. So you go in this creepy little room and you're mixing chemicals and putting papers down in a dish, I don't know what they're called, and picking it out with tongs. And it's fun, it's exciting. It feels mysterious, like you've unlocked another world. And what do you know? I ended up writing a YA novel about a girl who loves black and white photography. And it's how she ends up solving a mystery. That book did not sell, but we all have one of those. That was my character's name, Pembroke. It's cool, I don't even remember how I did that. Oh, I forgot about this one. This is a hallway, but I double exposed or super exposed or whatever with my dog. So it's sort of like a monster in the hall. Finley, you're like Godzilla. Dark and dramatic, much like my first novel that never sold. So I did photography, I did taxidermy, I did collage. I was running out of ideas, right? What next? What next? I took a pottery class. I hated it. You can try pottery if you liked it. I stayed one class and then I never went back. I've never done anything like that in my life before, just stopped going to a class. So then I was like, oh, what about glass? Stained glass is not so much my thing, but fused glass is a different matter altogether. Fused glass is where you heat up glass hot enough that it melts into each other itself, and you can create jewelry or bowls or plates or whatever. I had an amazing bowl, which I broke, so I can't show it to you. No idea what these are. Coasters? Squares? See, it's different glass fused together. Pro tip, when you have a bunch of glass in your closet because you were going to fuse it at some point, don't reach in with your hands. Pendants, to be used as pendants. I'm really proud of that one. That might be my favorite thing I've ever made. I take it back. This is my favorite. And I love it. It's so bright and colorful. I also took a mosaic class. Basically, I'm a 3-year-old. And sure enough, once you get the brain going and get yourself creating, the words will come. There are a lot of great videos out there on how to beat and defeat writer's block. In fact, I'll link to some of them below. Jenna, Kim, Vivian, Alexa, all have great ideas about how to power through. The thing about writer's block is whatever works for you to get out of it, do it. Run for it. Grab it by the horns and dance with it. it. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please send me pictures of your taxidermy. Like the video, share it, subscribe to my channel. Next week you will get to see me using a hairbrush microphone to embarrass myself. Speak freely or forever hold your block. Bye. Say bye.